Welcome to Beyond Your Radio's album review, Saturdays 2026, episode 32. It's time to get into new releases of 2026, like we always do. And you're here with me alone, as Dam has lost a family member. We send our condolences out to her and, of course, the family. I promise you a full show. As always, though, too, it encompasses the written word of beyondyourradio.com or the article section where I wrote about these three albums behind me. But as we always do, you get extras. And I have four this week, one of which is an ear exploiting experience that I'm sure will not be for most, but I'll try to identify its parts and manifest its unique destiny. If this is your first time here, I'm absolutely hoping you'll stay. I'm a music addicted, all kind of genres and forms, and I'm here to give you either something you didn't know about, maybe reaffirming an artist or band you had a connection with, and bringing that to the forefront in any way I can. There are an entirety of different shows on this channel, and they're all about that listening experience, discovering and rediscovering in the albums, bands, and artists. I love banter, so feel free to comment because I always reply. And of course, for those that have always joined, our continued gratitude payment is in the mail. Let's do this. So we go entirely female on this episode, for the three and a couple in the back. Because of the variety of genre, the experiences in the music industry, while I cannot say for certain where my usual favorite genre for female artists lies, considering my affection for the alternative creatives like a Tori Amos or even a PJ Harvey, I can be swayed by an awesome vocal like this year's Sienna Spiro in Visitor. I found out that over the years, I can certainly become smitten with an interesting folk arrangement, Rihanna Giddens, or the honesty and timelessness of Tracy Chapman, who, boy, would I love to hear her do another record. Yes, I even can swing down an R&B road that's soul-filled, artists that range from Amy Winehouse to Mavis Staples. There's also the temptation, sadness, and grit of the blues, of course, which can swing me over to a Beth Hart easily, but also into Bonnie Raitt or to newcomers like Grace Bowers. Our first contestant on album review, Saturdays 2026, episode 32, gives us a full-blown start to finish hip rap soul musical extravaganza, and she does it somehow. I'm still trying to figure out how this work would come out live. But as an album, I was kind of befuddled. Then a legend puts clouds back in her coffee and has you recalling the beauty of the art of the female singer-songwriter in all its glory. Then it's the fall from a very dark bridge, which lost me for an entire weekend. But what did I finally find out after? An album Females for Saturday 2026. So we'll go into it right now. Raye, this music may contain hope, period. Yeah, the period's in the title, I guess. Sophomore album, yeah. How they can be a conundrum in the music multiverse. I think we all know that. It doesn't matter what or where you were in your record sales for the debut. You could be huge or mediocre. It's what you do next as a band or solo artist that will give the music listener or appreciator and or record buying public, a junkie position like me, your musical stance. It can go a few ways depending. So let's exclude the juggernaut crazy debut albums, as that's a subject matter for another day. One, you can continue on the path that you're on and you just sort of increase it a bit. You find the comfort in it and you build gingerly, creating better sound maybe, and maybe a connection that's a little bit deeper than the past one. A band can choose to elevate their game though, but can bank heavily on production and making your sound way bigger, expansive, and touching other genres or even other audiences. There's also those that just turn on a dime and seek out creativity they haven't tapped into, heavily on the narcissistic side in some cases. Then there's our girl Raye, British solo artist who takes a very good debut album, My 21st Century Blues, which I reviewed back in 21, and decides to just about take all three things that I just talked about right there into this music may contain hope, period.
From the apple, and the story ain't this dissimilar. Many moons later, she'd be deceived by a very own traitor. And he wouldn't even my type on paper. So sweet poetry he would write. He's a WhatsApp Shakespeare killer, we call him. Lies just to climb into your bedroom door. Now you're fighting for your life on your bedroom floor. And then the devil did send him all the blue black venom. My mother knew when she met him. Wolf in sheep's clothes, all but in this case denim. Cold blood felon. Oh, I want them on the ghost of her daughter.
As I see a period after the title, I'm still kind of, is that man drop the mic? Maybe. Welcome to an all-out music genre, vocal kick-ass and symphonic, musically unabashed attempt to throw it all out, throw it all in, and to what I will call one of the biggest finales in album-making histories. Human Resource Records of Los Angeles, now ultimately and unfortunately a part of Sony. Oh, come on. It can't be good when you're in the big now, right? Found itself in an insane position, being able to support an artist in such a wicked, name-dropping, all-inclusive way that they were able to procure this woman with probably more than her wish list even had on it. What am I talking about? Well, I think she probably even got a DeLorean from Back to the Future 2 or 3 that came with the freaking train. The people on this record are absolutely amazing and big names. I'm kind of reminded of the artistic tenacity of the full crazy detail of Rosalia's last record. And this is where I position Miss Raye's The Music May Contain Hope. This is an album that has the bounce and the gusto of a Beyonce record, but also that it's got a musicality to it, like a musical number, kind of like the progressive symphonic musical of Quadrophenia, or if Queen decided to do an entire Bohemian Rhapsody album. It has those kind of details, courtesy of show-stopping guest lists that involve all kinds of artists, including those that make movie soundtracks. It also allows her the same freedom of incredible soul-filled vocalizing, which she already has. She does a progressive pop involvement and a rap attack. We're not experienced like this in quite some time. It's striking, this record. It immediately, and the use and the clever options with voice manipulation, although sometimes we frown upon it, I think this works, as well as the timing. It's like a great aphrodisiac, but it does wear off. While you're entranced by the overall combinations of symphonic musicals and hip hop and pop, you do become aware of the dulling backbone of all the single ladies, as well as the possibility that this isn't as cohesive a story to your ears as it might have felt, more like, what Remy would deliver. With Raye obviously being the conductor of this whole thing, it takes great creative chances. And the flash kind of becomes just that. And the overall playability of this over and over again kind of becomes a bit like something you might throw on again in several years, and so that you remember that wow impression you had the first time. There's a little bit like the debut album to some degree, and that's fine because you got to have some connectivity. Raye is a great gift to the music multiverse. I'm not poo-pooing that at all. And I guess what I'm saying here in all of this is that with her vocal acuities, it don't lose the depth of that vocal and the connection that can happen if you allow it to be less instead of more. This, however, is an album that will definitely play out fantastically and engagingly live, as opposed to an album we're going to talk about a little bit later here, where I'm not sure hearing live would feel like an overall part of entertainment. I love the title and her attack, as well as the fearlessness to kind of gather it all in and spew it out insanely well. I think I might have lost connection over my listens, though. But again, I'm not the boy anymore. I'm certainly a far cry from South London. Carly Simon is back. Comes in waves. She hasn't had a release since 2008. Well, if anyone can truly take a statement of this kind of obviousness of life comes in waves and bend it to her songwriting and vocal will, it has to be the great Carly Simon. It has been a few years since she's kind of dedicated herself to the craft of an album. But when we heard it was coming, it was just something you had to put on the docket that you were going to listen to, because this is a singer-songwriter and kind of the um, embodiment of this part of the industry. And like the title, Comes in Waves, suggests, Miss Simon has been kind of hurtling and surviving and taking note of what life has had to offer since that 2008, and finally putting it all to an album. Here's the difference of the true singer, songwriter, and vocalist against the pop artist, the rockers, and those record producers and stuff that are looking for a hit, right? Or make it do this, make it sound like this, modulate it here, make it sound perfect. It's the lyrics and that tell the story. They make the point, they articulate a position, or even create a scene. It's their word, it's their bond, and the building block of the emotional connection that people have had for this woman and this type of singer-songwriter for years and decades. And it is always delivered with the intensity and passion as the day it became a reality. Carly Simon's voice is nothing of a Raye or an Adele or even Ariana Grande, who we will talk about on this in a few minutes. The sound of the vocal can be gorgeous, but the lack of authority over the lyric doesn't allow for a metaphor to land that well. But don't get me wrong, Carly can still find a tone and raise it to the roof like she does in Peaches. Totally. You didn't know how that song was going to be. You see Peaches, right? She can also do the Neil Young or the Joni Mitchell Elder States song, right? Writing that can usually be a simple, easy vocal and put you right where she wants you, creating an emotional switch that just it clicks on, and that is the song "Love Has No Ending."
As I walked out one evening, walking down Bristol Street, the crowds upon the pavement were fields of harvest wheat, and down by the brimming river I heard a lover sing. Under the arch of a railway, love has no ending.
The other part of the singer-songwriter's work that we all tend to get sometimes frustrated with is the wheelhouse, where they know their songs and melodies live. Carly is that kind of character. She is drawn to a sound and tone where her stories can be told and they meet the ear that way and that can be articulated. It's pop folk. Yeah, we can sometimes be complacent with it. But after 18-year void here, come on. Comes in Waves brings us right back to why she's that name that can bring an album to a forefront in 2026. Far from the 1971 anticipation, but actually bring us right back to it kind of in an amazing way. Yes, that is her daughter on one of the tracks, as well as Natasha Bedingfield, who co-wrote a track, which adds to the flavors of the recording. But the style remains all Miss Carly Simon. It is always great to hear that vocal, but more so from that kind of 70s songwriter. She's not lost a writing step or a delivery concept. She understands her profession. She understands the audience, but mostly important in this is the honored tradition of delivering great songs, honestly, as well as an album that is poignant and detailed to the times and the traditions of that which has always been her greatest howl. This will be difficult. Phoebe Bridgers' Lost Weekend. This was one of the releases this week and this year that was highly anticipated. She has been an interesting alternative folk singer songwriter, blending with an artistically intelligent style. Yes, she can fall into the category of a latter day Swift with the folk breathiness, but her delivery on her debut and follow up record, but also as part of the female supergroup Boy Genius, has been amazing, to say the least. She is a solid singer songwriter. That's her backbone, and a style that is an audio shape shifting in female work that might be the finest. But until Lost Weekend, it pains me to say this. It pains me to write it, but the shape shifting on this record is distracting, layered in an audio attention deficit disorder, not allowing the songwriter's words and position to find a stronger hold throughout the record's entirety. The way in which it starts out becomes a somewhat warning sign to me. All right. We've got a modulated voice. The song's called The Outside. It just doesn't seem like a fine place to start. The distraction of that vocal that's leading to her all that art folk propensity she has to grasp and odd etherealism to. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me the second time I heard it. Didn't work for me the third time I heard it. I was having trouble conceptually understanding why we're attempting this programming vocal augmentation and where the length or position placement of profundity might itself make. Bad sentence there? Sure. But am I doing it on purpose? God, please don't do that crap. Every listen I started with it to hoping for a melodic explanation of some point, it hasn't come to me. And I was not going to look this up. I'm not going to go into why, where, how, or what Bridgers was thinking about. All I can think of now at this moment from here on out is loss. I feel loss and I feel lost. You're losing me, and it leaks throughout. Right into the next track. But I'm not the audience here, apparently, as Lost Boys has become her first #1 single. I mean, congratulations on that. I don't find it to be a bad song. I just don't find it to have anything that we haven't heard. This is a tete-a-tete of, like, the Lost Boys, right? This could be those of Peter Pan, but also be the Lost Boys from the movie with Kiefer Sutherland. And yes, this particular track is one of those that lingers and alternates the usual weightiness she has and lightness that she can come in and out of, which is really the guys and the guts of it all that makes her so interesting. But it is definitely somewhere between the never grow old kind of luck that you get and the overall machine she mentions that's probably killing us all. In fact, we have two tracks that line up in that what we expect from Bridgers, her badge, and that's Kill Me. And then the best of the album, I thought, was The Governor's Waltz. Signature, sure, but that finger plucking against her light delivery, I mean, and the piano playfulness, the waltz in and starts to make me feel returning to this. We're returning to the real Phoebe Bridgers. Connected, descriptive, telling, and well conceived. But then the loss continues with an alt pluck synth outward recorded thing called Bobby. Now, I am not in the culture of bisexuality, and I have no affinity to care, but it has certainly starting to feel to me like we're touching in and out of this confusing concept, and it will work with those in the know. But my generation, I'm not sure we can discern very much here. You're losing me again. And the title track comes in, and the organ lingering, that word juxtapositioning, that's kind of cool. Well, sort of beguiling. She's beguiling in certain ways, very passionately delivered, but It felt boring, like over philosophical or discovery oriented and lost. And I'm getting very lost. Again, this is for me. Haunted comes in, all right? The last of the tracks that truly keep me grounded in Phoebe's alt folk shiftiness. The concept is complete. I love that. The track melodies is also engaging and propels an audio description and emotion and feeling. This song also brings to question an audio production quality that felt a little bit lost in the volume. Maybe it's just my copy. The addition of what feels like parts or finished areas of music, like Never Going Back, Panorama, Lost Parade, do nothing to clarify anything to the listener, make it any deeper, or bring light to the experience. They act more like movie outtakes that only work for those that are in the know. There's another artist that does this kind of thing too, and I get why, but it's gotta make a connection. The best records of all time are those that can connect with any age and any person because they hear it for themselves rather than trying to have to figure it out. Um, the music isn't even cohesive to the overall potential of the song's emotion in some cases. Even a song I should have been enthralled with, which is As Above, and yes, it says so below.
Screaming on the wonder wheel. You're gonna take me for granted, but I can't handle it. Whatever happens after, it doesn't matter. You have to believe in magic. Leave it to me and I'll make it happen. You have to believe in magic. Leave it to me and I'll make it happen. You can't imagine.
Like the motion picture. Um, it just seemed to fall flat because of me being lost. Although she finally lets a bit more loose in the vocal too, because the vocal only had this, wispy ethereal thing going on, but she really belts in that part of the album, and I want that. Will I continue to be lost? As I'm certainly going to be playing her prior records. I do every year. They're magnificent. I'm not sure if I'm going to. They might come to pass that this might require me to get involved in reading about the making of this album, the concept and ideas. But shouldn't a great songwriter been able to get me closer? And she is. I don't know whether this distraction is the sound or the actuality that the album was actually lost in the weekend. Phoebe's new album was, for now, a very, very lost weekend for me this time around. And I feel horrible about it. And I feel old. Oh, extras, extras. Read all about them. No, don't read all about them because they're not on the website. Here I go. Maggie Rose, Half Moon. If you're looking for the next Carly Simon meets Susan Tedeschi with that without the guitar blues, just the connection of a vocal through times. Of the blues, Americana, soul blending that really becomes extremely big, glamorous, almost Motown-ish. You have come to the new Maggie Rose. And Maggie has a couple albums back did a wham bam type of record that was very Americana, very blues driven, and but this one, man, this is going back to late '60s and '70s blends of a Motown kind of thing. This album even has some tricks that you wouldn't be expecting because there's like this slippery plucking in the one song, but the whole thing is balanced on the depth and soul of Maggie Rose's voice. The bridges here from that amazing, darker kind of Americana record called "Have a Seat" are mesmerizing. It's like something you weren't kind of expecting, but you knew it was there. Only problem is an overall audience for this kind of record is pretty narrow compared to where she was prior and the album in between. Musicality though, this is making for an extremely and deeply entertaining evening if this was to put in the mix of her normal routine live wise. And I'm sorry I missed her when she was in Buffalo a couple months ago at the Chautauqua Institute.
Half moon, I need you to be one. Half in the world, half out of my mind. Can only pay attention half of the time. I'm in a room where no one can go, at the end of a pathway covered in snow, and I know I must return.
With Melissa Etheridge. Half Moon is a very direct, soulful performance that doesn't waver or altern like she's done in the past. Great addition to the depth of performer she is becoming, putting this in the realms of those women that headline now, although she's still not. She's no longer hiding in plain sight. Speaking of, like, those headliners, right? Ariana Grande, Petal, emotionally emotionless. That is not what you want. But when you have a voice, range, and what I believe to be a charismatical deadpan look, no matter what you do, it's a confusing enigma of an artist. She's always been that for me. I do think what makes this album useless is the overall production's emotionless value. I feel like I was completely gypped by not actually having any musicians working on it, except maybe a song here or there. I know it probably says that there's people playing it, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it was produced in a studio with numbers, bits, and ones, and by some William Orbit wannabe. If you're trying to do Ray of Light, this is not it. Not that it's on the higher side of things. This is more on a wispy side. This album has been raped of value with programming, overused, and ticky-tacky emotionless roboticism in electronics. That's my big feelings. And also the realization there are worse things she can do and I can listen to. So I want to genuinely connect with that vocal, but that's the problem. It's not emotion filled. It's a perfect, it's like perfume. All right. Every note holds the same value, the same temp, the same everything. And it's like you smell the perfume, you smell it once, you smelled it, it's done. It continues, it continues, it continues, it continues. It doesn't change. It doesn't, it does nothing. If you believe otherwise, you're lying to yourself and hearing something else, or there's an emotional issue you may have. The song Freak is the exact explanation and proof of this non-feeling everyone should have.
This time, can you do it now? I won't do what you say, freak anytime. But can you give me now? Wake me when all this shit is over. I know too much for now. Well, them in that poison never sober. I don't know her. Someday all the seas will open. All of the human life I've dreamt of. Will be really fast like how will it feel? How will it feel?
You can accidentally call this atmospheric, but that is a crime to all those that make brilliant atmospheric records. They make emotional connectivity that way. This is a pop star sensation that apparently can sell crap to crap babies. Good luck. Rest in peace, that vocal. The petals fall off without much fever. Like I Do, that song is the only, honestly, the only made track that has that hip hop remedy of R&B But even that suffers program vocal, bad things, and bunny hop. Uh, I had hopes for those, but it fell right into production line and an enormously boring key of vocal wisp. Nowhere, nobody. If anyone else does this, it's a hunk of pointless tones and emotional drive. Careful, Miss Grande. All right. The record buying public ain't that stupid. I'm hoping it ain't. You need to get back to stellar vocalization, power of a great vocalist, and an honest connection. Maybe these joint songwritings, this SNL approach to writing an album where there's a bunch of people just isn't good. It isn't. I mean, I'd much rather her sing somebody else's song. Um, anyway, as much as I've just bashed this record, I don't know what to tell you about this one. And I was kind of stunned here. Medieval found footage, Abagnale, this four-piece noise rock band, noise rock. All right. So you get the Ontario Sludgers. Now you got Port Stanley, Ontario's experimental. Oh, man. This is an absolute. Oh, it's, it's a dirge. Um, there are elements of this that made me want to think about Eric's Trip, if you remember that 90s band. But the noise rock here, it takes this blend of experimental sounds and intense, very intense, vulgar, emotive lyrics. It's very raw, but it's not that good kind of raw. It's a ear piercing rawness that just is going to offset most people. I don't know what the concept of the record actually is. I do know that it definitely feels like I'm placed into that 90s Eric's Trip, and without the screaming vocal. I was trying to give you another artist that kind of fits in there. I mean, maybe Swans would be. This is abrasive. I don't know, post-hardcore, it doesn't groove in that way. There are angular pitches and guitar. It's a very pitchy record too, but it's confrontational vocals, and it's not growl. It's just bitter screaming, and you might even think Nirvana to some degree, early Nirvana. But the position here, it's ear splitting. and that's there. And I guess it's just this, if a band that you enjoy is angst in this and raw and ill produced, um, purposely, then this is a place for you in Abagnale. Now, I'm going to finish up with one, and this is not the only Yeti this year. Imagine that, right? Yeti on horseback, and I would assume a Yeti doesn't need to ride horseback, but hey, if it's going to be on horseback, it's going to have traditional addictions. That is the name of the album. 7/24/2026 release. Sludge doom rock with a methodical melodic punch right at the belt and continual below the belt. When I say that, you'll know you'll be keeled over because you're being pummeled in this riff and sludge doom that will scare the shit out of you. I think that's the intention. Hell, the cover leaves nothing to the imagination, and neither does this five-piece band from London, Ontario. Woo, yay, right? Or Canada doesn't they don't hold back. They got all kinds of artists in this. This doom has the guttural vocal. Oh yeah. Low filth that will please these types of audiences. I was sort of I'm in a little bit, but that vocal, man, wow. They utilize an interestingly high, low generated scream too that leaves you wondering who the hell it's supposed to be, as if it's people falling into Satan's hell. At least that's, I mean, God, but the vocals, do they intently go too far to be above the plunging bass and guitar lines? Yep. Um, they call this an EP. It's 4 songs, it's 46 minutes. It's actually longer than Maggie Rose's record. They remain independent, but I have this feeling the way they've delivered this record, it does have a very good production. There's no question. That they're a label's going to give them some sort of shot that nurtures this type of band. They may find some depth. I mean, this is not their first record, but they haven't been around that long. But the riff depth and abysmal depth of that sludge that goes onward into whatever dark lament drives them. Yeah, if you love that, you're in this you know, um, up to your neck. Whomever posed for the picture on this album cover, man, you're somewhere between the Devil's Rejects and Amish Deliverance. With there's an evil lurking, far worse uh, in just thinking about that album cover and around it. So I hope anybody who took that picture had a full cleansing. But for those of you that love this stuff, I think you're gonna love it. Just when you come to my house, don't dress like that. What did you think of these albums? Next week it's the Afghan Wigs. Yeah, yeah. Grace Potter's back. But Brandon Flowers is the one I'm kind of interested big time in. Ann Wilson and Trip Sitter are back. But then we just take on Giraffe. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all about albums, bands, artists, anything we get our hands on so we can make these, articles, videos, and podcasts. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. As always, thanks for watching. Happy listening.